Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. A Northwest Territories judge is expected to announce the sentence on Wednesday for a Nunavut man charged with manslaughter. Darren Nuliayuk is convicted of killing Adam Kakolak in a Yellowknife Hotel parking lot in 2023. Nuliayuk appeared in court on Monday for his sentencing hearing. The CBC's Nadir Hashmi has the story, but first a warning. Some of the details and images may be distressing.
Kakolak's relatives and family members were present in court. They shared written testimonies and pictures of Kakolak to Justice Louis Chabonnet. Kakolak's brother Trent wrote he had been a kind man, good to everyone, while his sister Stephanie wrote that Kakolak just had a baby after he passed away and that the family misses him. The agreed statement of facts were also read out in court. It said on July 22, 2023, Nuliayuk was in Yellowknife as a medical escort for his younger brother. Kakolak, also visiting Yellowknife, asked Nuliayuk to buy alcohol and cigarettes in the Capital Suites hotel parking lot. Both men were intoxicated, with Nuliayuk also under the influence of marijuana and crack cocaine. Nuliayuk became angry, accusing Kakolak of trying to use him. Nuliayuk punched the victim, who fell on the ground, then kicked him in the head repeatedly. A video recording of the assault was shown in court. Kakolak died a week later from blunt head and neck trauma. Nuliayuk pleaded guilty to causing Kakolak's death, but not the intent to kill him. In the court hearing, there was quite a difference between the sentencing recommendations. Crown Prosecutor Alex Godfrey called it a horrendous act of violence. He asked for a sentence of 6 to 7 years. Godfrey argued that while Kakolak was vulnerable, lying on the ground, Nuliayuk walked away, didn't assist Kakolak or take him to the hospital, showing a degree of callousness, and that such types of violence must be denounced severely. Defense lawyer Ryan Clements argued for a sentence of just 2.5 years. He pointed to Nuliayuk's difficult upbringing marked by generational trauma, abuse and violence. Clements said the Crown's recommendation is excessive for his client who has no criminal record. At the end of the hearing, Nuliayuk told the court he feels remorseful towards the victim's family and said he is very, very sorry for his action. Justice Chabonnet is expected to announce a decision on the sentencing tomorrow. Nadir Hashmi, CBC News, Yellowknife.
A massive northern development project is another step closer to becoming a reality. The Grays Bay Porton Road would connect ice roads in Yellowknife through Nunavut all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. But some are saying the impacts of the project are too great to ignore. The CBC's Emma Tranter reports.
A northern dream to connect the Arctic coast to southern Canada is being met with strong opposition, but also support from local communities and Indigenous groups affected by it. The 230-kilometre all-season road and port has been in the works for years. Now, the Nunavut Impact Review Board has recommended the project receive a full environmental review after receiving comments from interveners and the public. Brendan Bell is the Chief Executive Officer of West Kitikmeot Resources Group, the project's proponent.
The project will provide access to a number of prospective mineral properties, but also importantly bolster our continental security in the region.
But the Kugluktuk Hunters and Trappers organization calls the project a road to nowhere, with dolphin and union caribou at critically low levels. They say they can't support it. Meanwhile, the Kitikmeot Inuit Association says they have faith that a public hearing will address those concerns.
We believe that those regulatory processes can ensure projects like this can operate in a manner that has the least amount of impacts on wildlife or fish.
The recommendation for an environmental review now needs approval from the federal government. The cost of the project is estimated at $1 billion. Emma Tranter, CBC News, Yellowknife.
A recent landslide in the Yukon sent about 6,000 square meters of clay cliff tumbling into the frozen Takini River. The Yukon government says it happened a few kilometers west of the Takini River Bridge, which is just north of Whitehorse. Derek Cronmiller is with the Yukon Geological Survey. He says 6,000 square meters is close to about 40,000 bathtubs worth of material. Cronmiller spoke to the CBC about how unusual landslides are in the winter.
This is a relatively large slide. When the landslide came down, it broke through the ice of the Takini River and created a large displacement wave. So when that material goes into the river rapidly, the only way to get it down in the river is by moving some of the water out of the way. And it broke a lot of the ice, and it rafted large chunks of river ice up to 250 meters away. It's not just water moving in this case, it's actually moving large blocks of ice, which can be very destructive, damage trees and things like that. And if there are structures in the area, those can certainly be damaged. But in this case, thankfully, there are no structures. A little bit more than half the channel is blocked. The river will erode this material. We don't anticipate there being any hazard or any reason to sort of interfere with nature just running its course here. People are always looking for a trigger. And triggers are important, but there's not always sort of this smoking gun. It's just something that was on the way to happening through just slow fluvial processes and gravity in this case. One thing I will say is that it is always very hard to link a single slide to climate change. What we look at is trends in the number of slides, the frequency that they're occurring, and sort of the magnitudes of the slides. In this case, we don't have like this obvious trigger, so it's not so clear. But what we have seen in the last few years is an uptick in snowfall, in particular, and we do see a slight increase in intense precipitations. And so some of these more classic landslide triggers are occurring with greater frequency, and so we expect to see landslides occurring with greater frequency as a result.
That was Derek Cronmiller with the Yukon Geological Survey speaking about an unusual winter landslide in the territory. Nunavut's NDP MP says it was about time for Justin Trudeau to go. Trudeau announced on Monday that he would be stepping down as Prime Minister and Liberal Party leader. Lori Idlout says there have been too many broken promises from the Liberals. She also believes the Liberals neglected the needs of Nunavummiut.
Since I got elected, for example, I had been calling for a reform of the Nutrition North program, knowing for years that the program is not working, and their responses have always been delayed, and the last minister's response to my calls for more swift action was to delay the creation of a position that wouldn't start until 2025.
Idlout did say she appreciates what Trudeau tried to accomplish while in office. She also confirmed that she will run again as the NDP's candidate in Nunavut. Over the past 5 years, there were 600 reported cases of gun violations in Nunavut. That's according to recent statistics from the RCMP. The violations include 211 cases of careless use of a firearm. Other violations include 5 cases of attempted murder with a firearm and more than 100 cases of unsafe storage of firearms. Last year, the federal government announced that it would allocate $4 million to help stop gun violence in Nunavut. That funding will roll out over the next 5 years. The Nunavut Department of Justice says it'll go towards initiatives like safety courses and community-run programs that help support gun safety. CBC News is launching a new series on immigration called Welcome to Canada. A survey commissioned by the CBC found several newcomers who face difficulty in landing jobs. Many say they're not working in their field of expertise. Vanessa Lee takes a closer look at the medical industry and internationally trained doctors who say they face a number of barriers.
It's the sign of an ailing system with no overnight cure. 6.5 million Canadians don't have a family doctor. And this pool of physicians is ready and waiting to contribute their skills.
A lot of us, international medical doctors, we are willing to work hard and to do what it takes just to get to our final goal.
Ismenda Ramirez has worked as a family doctor in the Dominican Republic. After moving to Canada, she spent countless hours again studying to become a doctor here. During this time, she has worked at McDonald's and is currently a medical assistant.
Many of us doesn't find jobs, so I was grateful for that.
Despite passing her Canadian medical exams, Ramirez hasn't been able to land a residency, a crucial stage where doctors gain hands-on experience. A major issue is that lack of residency spots. Last year, 95% of graduates from Canadian schools landed a placement, but only 42% of international medical graduates were successful. That means 931 didn't get a placement. Advocates say more funding is needed, but
in order to put more people into a residency program, you have to have more people there to be the mentors. And so I think that is a significant bottleneck.
another complication, all 13 provinces and territories have separate licensing requirements.
Even me as the president of the Canadian Medical Association, I find it challenging to understand what the different options are and how they work.
An alternate path, something called a practice-ready assessment, is an option in 9 provinces. The first step, candidates are evaluated under the supervision of a physician for at least 12 weeks. But here's the catch. To qualify for the program, they must have recently worked as a doctor, forcing some to go abroad.
It's a big challenge because there are lots of things going back home. It's not safe.
Ogeni Fego Akpomi had to go back to Nigeria last year to get that recent experience.
To me, I just feel we're letting talents waste.
In Quebec and Ontario, advocacy groups tell us there are more than 3,500 international medical graduates. The vast majority are not working as physicians. There are fears doctors will simply leave if changes aren't made to make the process more simple and transparent. Vanessa Lee, CBC News, Toronto.
Fake Facebook accounts are targeting the family and friends of recently deceased Northerners, hoping to profit off their grief. Carla Ulrich explains the scam.
Excellency, Ms. Sear.
Jesse Wheeler's mother, Gail Sear, passed away on December 3rd, shortly after a fake Facebook account using his late mother's pictures sent out friend requests. The profile linked to a fake live stream of her funeral asking for $20 to watch. The Yellowknife resident says he first heard about the fake account from friends. He called the experience both frustrating and disappointing, especially when they tried to report the fake account.
My partner Phoenix got a report back from Facebook saying this doesn't violate any of our codes or community guidelines, so we're going to leave it up, which was more shocking.
Wheeler says Facebook needs to take these reports seriously and improve safeguards, and that this incident highlights a larger issue with social media.
All of these social network sites have a real bot problem that literally just throw out programs, hoping that 1 in maybe 1 million people click on it and give them your details.
Former Yellowknife resident George Lessard was almost one of those people. He said Gail Sear was his friend, and he clicked on the live stream link to watch her funeral from his home down south. Lessard said the fake account used the same graphics and information to appear legitimate, but when he clicked on the link, he was prompted to pay $20. It was at that moment he realized it was a scam.
It's an offense against the person who's passed more than anything else, as far as I'm concerned. She was such a gift to the community over the time that she was in Yellowknife, and then somebody goes and scams.
Lessard says he would also like to see Facebook do better with its detection and reporting systems. In a statement to CBC, a Meta spokesperson says content designed to mislead users goes against their guidelines and that malicious groups adapt their methods to avoid being detected. They say incidents like this do get missed as machines and people both make mistakes. The RCMP advises checking with the funeral's organizer if you see links asking for payment. Carla Ulrich, CBC News, Fort Smith.
The Kanuipita National Inuit Health Survey team is going to every community in Nunavut, speaking to Inuit about their health and wellness. And every answer will help us as Inuit determine our own priorities for a healthier future. Together, we will answer the question, Kanuipita, how are we? Find out when we're coming to your community. Learn more at qnihs.ca.
Alcoholics Anonymous. We're here to help. For more information, visit aa.org and download the Meeting Guide app.
Earth is our collective home that makes us all family.
As family, we strive to love and protect each other. Diversity of species is our strength. We are all connected. We survive and thrive together. We celebrate many things this season and make many choices. Taking care of our family should be the easiest. We're in this together.
Being there means being here. Russian forces, they want it badly. It's just a fraction of the mess here in Port-au-Basque. To witness, to listen, to share. I'm so sorry. I do worry about them. Adrian Arsenault reports on CBC News, stream free.
We're often drawn to people who have something we want in ourselves.
But it doesn't mean living like you're running out of time. It means living in a place of hope.
Residents of Gamete NWT rang in 2025 with a beloved northern rock band, Welder's Daughter. As Natalie Pressman tells us, it's part of the band's mission to perform in more small northern communities in the coming years.
That's a bit of what Gamete residents saw to bring in the new year. It's the first time Welder's Daughter has played in the Creechall community, and the band says it was a joy to be part of their celebration.
It is a special thing, New Year's Eve, and say goodbye to the old year and enter the new year before instruments are hand and do what we really love to do. That's another thing. And most of the time, the New Year's Eve parties are lots of fun. It's not like playing in the bar every night, because people are there to celebrate, and you got a different energy.
It's an important event for the communities and stuff. You know, that's a big, we can spend our money on this event and they might get extra funding or something for it. So, or that's where they want to put their money. People get dressed up, you know, and it's fun, you know, like particularly if you're in a smaller community, when do you really get a chance to get, you know, put on something sparkly?
The performance was also the first time Gamete has had live music since 2020. And the community's director says residents were keen.
People were phoning as soon as we posted it. Like, they were phoning the office, they were asking for tickets.
Welder's Daughter is on a mission to visit more of those smaller communities in the north, to play shows, and also to share their love of music with workshops for residents. That's something they started in Lutselk'e in November. They teach working with your bandmates, setting up equipment, and how to write songs.
How come those words just didn't get said? We fought instead.
Like this one. Natalie Pressman, CBC News, Yellowknife.
If you're in Dawson City, Yukon, it's hard to miss how deeply rooted the traditional language of the Trondequetchin First Nation is in the community. Over the past few years, the Han language has not only been revitalized, it's becoming a part of everyday life. Chris McIntyre has the story.
It's on the school, and this building here, and even here. Did I mention it's here? Now the Bonanza Market is the latest to integrate the Han language into its business. The store was recently renovated with new shelving and a new paint job. Before the renos were completed, the store's manager, Nathan Aherniak, had a creative idea.
I recognize the importance of the Han language here in the community, noticing the stop signs being put up this past summer. So I recognized the importance, how it meant to the community and to the elders of the community, and it's something that I thought we needed to do.
Now, when patrons enter the store, they get to navigate their way through the store using Han words to guide them.
Getting a lot of positive feedback right now, especially from the elders. I've had a couple people tell me that their grandmothers would be crying if they seen the language right now and how much it would mean to them. So we're getting a lot of people that are very appreciative of everything, and you know, it's good to see. It's good to see the happiness in the community.
Han language teacher and Trondheim citizen Erica Sheffen was behind the translation.
Nalai denit Nalai translates to meat, and denit means I am cutting, so I'm cutting meat. Health, tone day, and beauty. Tone day is the word for medicine.
Sheffen says as a Trondheim woman, she's proud to see her traditional language shared with the community this way. Shojre Chris McIntyre, CBC News on the traditional territory of the Trondheim in Dawson City.
The Yukon Wild School is moving to a new location. The private outdoor school in Whitehorse will soon be closer to town. WILD stands for Wilderness Integrated Leadership Development. The idea is that teaching children outside helps them connect with nature, and the benefits of that go beyond education.
I mean, we get reports from parents that the kids, they sleep better, they eat better, they're more present when they're at home with their families, they're more regulated, they have less anxiety, the list goes on.
The new location is off the Alaska Highway in Whitehorse, across from Robert Service Way. Ticks on birds, new species moving in, and oceans warming. Climate change is already visible in northern Labrador. Inuit are at the forefront, working to understand the changes and adapting. This past fall, more than a dozen youth got to see it firsthand, and so did the CBC's Heidi Adder. Here's part one of her story from Nain.
The hike up this mountain is breathtaking. These young hikers are looking at more than just the vistas. They're looking at markers of permafrost, or where it once was. The permafrost in these mountains south of Nain is already gone.
It is changing the landscape, especially for infrastructure.
When permafrost melts, it can release trapped carbon into the atmosphere, accelerating climate change. It's one aspect of climate change they are here to understand at a week-long science camp. PAMEC hopes some of them may be inspired to go into the sciences, having Inuit study their own lands instead of researchers from the south.
We want youth to understand that the researchers, the scientists that are coming to Nunavut to do these types of jobs, this type of research could be done by them, could be done by local people. We don't have to employ these people to come up to do the work.
Inuit have a deep connection to the land.
Kind of clears my mind. There's not much to worry about when you're up here. You feel more free. This is where my ancestors came from. Makes me feel more connected to my ancestors and my people.
So to Inuit, we are connected to the land. We are connected to the water. It's a part of our everyday life. It's who we are.
The land also provides local food. Wild birds, animals, fish, seals are all important parts of people's diets.
We want to understand more about where they are going, what their threats may be, where they are going, but also what kind of contaminants they may potentially be bringing back to Nunavut as well.
To track the health of bird populations, researchers have been going out and placing bands and tracking devices on eiders, black guillemots, and more. It's something they want the youth to see. But it's the fall in Nunavut, in between bird seasons. Thankfully, there's another bird in town. In Michelle Saunders' backyard, PAMEC and Reed Dupois-Smith help the youth hold chickens, flip them upside down, and place a small band on their leg.
I just banded my first bird, and it happened to be a chicken.
We band birds because this gives us a lot of information on not only the birds and their physical health, but also can be important for tracking projects, for avian influenza monitoring, a bunch of different things. It's also really great for long-term monitoring to determine the health of populations and to see how old birds are. And this is all information we wouldn't know if we weren't out there doing banding. And also to have the students do their first time banding birds on chickens, I think is really special and unique. And it's so great that they had this opportunity, and it was so fun to learn from them and to chat with them. And yeah, who doesn't love hanging out with chickens?
Researchers have also started placing geolocator tags and GPS tags on birds. But they're finding something new. For the first time, birds in northern Labrador are being found with ticks.
I never saw it before. The ticks aren't harmful to humans. They're in no way, shape, or form going to endanger human or give you anything and you can still eat the bird. It's just kind of like icky seeing a tick. But we want to understand more about these ticks and where they're coming from.
Right now, it's a lot of unknowns, including with wild bird eggs. Oil contaminants are showing up inside the eggs. In 2023, Nunatsiavut warned of an increased cancer risk if people eat too many affected eggs.
Right now, we have no concerns. Contaminant loads are at a good level. We are not concerned about anything that we are eating in our wildlife, which is a good news story.
Pamuk wants the same for her grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
And we'll have part 2 of Heidi's story tomorrow on Northbeat. Now, let's take a look at the weather. And we have some breaking news out of Iqaluit for you right now. The city's fire department is currently on scene at 1088 Noble House, where there appears to have been a large fire. CBC News was able to capture these photos so you can get a sense of what's happening right now in Iqaluit. The fire department is asking residents to avoid this area until further notice. That, again, is a scene at 1088 Noble House in Iqaluit, where the city's fire department is responding to what appears to be a fire. These photos, again, coming from a CBC News reporter who was able to take them. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. We leave you tonight with some more music from Welder's Daughter. Have a good night. That was great. Just
You're mad at me 'cause I'm not home. We raised our voices on the phone. That's all I meant to say. Oh, I missed you today. How come those words just didn't get said? We fought instead. You try to hide the facts 'cause you've been crying, but I know where you've been hiding. I can see that your heart is broken. You know I love you. The words go unspoken. I miss you tonight. I don't know why we fight. When all I wanted to say is I loved you anyways. But all that came out was Celebrate